Dame writes half the song and I produce and I create the composition for half the song, there are 4 pieces of that pie. There aren't 2. 50% of that is in Dame's corner, but that means that 25% goes to Dame Ritter, the writer. The other half goes to his publishing entity. Everybody who signs up is getting their writer's share and their publisher's share. So imagine this scenario, right? I create a sample that's royalty free and I give it to 2 producers. And obviously because it's royalty free, it means they don't have to register me. They don't have to share any of their royalties with me. It's royalty free. They're free and clear. I'm still the creator of it, but I'm cut out of the process entirely once they purchase that royalty free license from me. Right. So these 2 producers use the sample that I create in a very similar way. They upload it to YouTube, and this stuff happens. They upload it to YouTube, TuneCore, whatever, and the Content ID system sees that there's a similarity between those 2. Mm-hmm. And now, because the Content ID system doesn't know that it's royalty free and they both have permission to use it, one of them is getting flagged. So I've heard of that happening, and I don't think in Bufo's case that it's anything that he should worry about and that should prevent him from starting to upload stuff. Eminem has used Splice samples. I interviewed Doughboys, who created that sample from Splice. And it's royalty free. I mean, they can't go after Eminem and ask him for money or anything because that's the beauty of Splice. But conceivably, there could have been some kind of copyright conflict there. And it's kind of legal Wild West because this is a new emerging concern. This wasn't something that was around 10 years ago because we didn't have Splice and we didn't have Content ID.
Right.
And yeah, I know there are people saying I don't think it would happen. It has happened. It's happened to me because I've created royalty-free sound collections, and I have people saying, "Hey, my video's getting monetized," and I thought it was royalty-free. And then they come at me like I'm the bad guy, but I didn't do it. Right. I'm not out there filing claims. It's just automatic because that's what TuneCore does. That's what CD Baby does. So it is a concern. I don't think you'll lose your account over it because in order for you to lose your account, someone has to actually go out of their way to file a copyright claim against you. This isn't something that's happening intentionally because people are going after you. It's just an automatic issue that sometimes arises from Content ID systems. So it'll be interesting to see how the technology accounts for this emerging problem. But don't worry about it. If you're a producer, don't worry about it. To me, the worst possible case scenario is it's a headache and you'll have to file a dispute. And then the worst case scenario out of filing that dispute is that for some reason, and I don't know why this would be, but if you can't prove that it's royalty free, then you lose that dispute and you no longer can monetize whatever YouTube content you've uploaded with that track. So you're not going to jail, you're not getting sued, but it's a pain in the ass. So I'm curious to hear if other people who have been using Splice for a long time have run into this issue and if they've successfully filed disputes based on the royalty-free nature of the samples that are causing these copyright flags to occur.
Right. I mean, it just sounds like it'll be a headache. I think the best thing that you can do once you have a YouTube channel of decent stature, or if you have, enough streams or whatnot, is to have a company working on your behalf that helps with this communication and sorts these things out as they occur. This is just another case of the technology advancing faster than, the proper processes to sort this type of stuff out. And it happens all the time in music. So
this is the English teacher in me. Can we eliminate the word copywritten from our vocabularies, please? And the reason I say this is because it shows to me that maybe some people don't exactly know what copyrights are. We're talking about rights, as in the Bill of Rights, as in legal rights. So it's copyright, R-I-G-H-T. copy, W-R-I-T-E, has to do with actual writing and journalism. So it's copyright. So when you say copywritten, I don't know. I think we should just, you know, I want everybody to sound smart, but the words that we use sometimes affects the way that we think about the concepts that the words are referring to. You know what I'm saying? So the question was, if you get a beat from BeatStars and someone else has already used it and put it onto some aggregator, what could happen? Same thing with the royalty free. It does happen. I think that's why in the BeatStars contracts they prohibit that. Obviously, people are still uploading stuff to aggregators. I don't enforce that. I actually eliminated that part from my contracts. But what happens to me all the time is that people file unintentionally through TuneCore. They file copyright claims against me as a producer for my original beat because they decided to upload it to TuneCore. It's a headache, but it's just part of the game. I just go online and dispute it.
Payne, I'm gonna let you go real quick. I want to take on a few more questions, but I'm definitely gonna bring you back.
I know that you have created Funk Volume together with Hobson, which was great, by the way. And I'm a Russian rapper, and at this point of time, I'm a no-name, but I haven't really dropped anything yet. But I have like a plan of doing things, and I have a lot of material on the way. But essentially, like the long-term goal is to also build my own label. So maybe you have some tips for like a starter like me to reach that point.
I mean, in this day and age, it's all about content, man. You got to create a brand. You got to create kind of what your brand is about, your messaging, your story, and it just takes a lot of content. You know, just that consistently put out music and just kind of build with fans over time. I mean, it's kind of a loaded question. So, I could probably sit here for 2 hours and give you feedback. But I think the first step is to just kind of get out there and see what that initial response is to your music, and just keep building on momentum and keep connecting and engaging with the people that find your stuff dope. So, yeah, it's going to be a long road, man. I suggest you sign up for the Music Entrepreneur Club too, and just kind of tap in and ask.
I'm signed up.
Oh, dope. Okay. Then you're in the game. Cool, man. Yeah. Appreciate your questions. I'm going to bring on some other folks.
Yes. Thank you very much. Peace.
All right.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Cool. All right. Let's bring on some more folks. We got about 40 more minutes. I'm going to try to get as many people on here as possible. Let's see. We got Quick Rap Music. Got you in a sec. I had you. It looked like it disconnected. Hold on. Let me see. It looked like it did. It again. Hold on. I'm trying to add you. It's not letting me. Hold on. Okay, I'm waiting for you now. Okay, you should have gotten it should be connected right now. If you have questions, just I guess it's just invite yourself to the session, and I'll try to grab you and bring you live. Quick Rap Music. What's up, bro?
Hey, man, so me and my buddy, kind of what on the other guy was just speaking about making a label. Me and my buddy trying to set that up. We're just looking into, like, copywriting and trademarking our name for that. Like, what's your opinion on that? Should we do that right away? Because I just seen, I think it was DJ1. He made a post about making, like, copywriting your name so that way you lock in you don't get fucked over in the end of the business, you know?
Right. I mean, I think if you have the resources to do it, I mean, go ahead and knock it out. I personally have never seen myself or ran into any artist that has ever had any like copyright issues with their name. But I get, and I think it's lower risk, like when you don't have much going on and there's not a ton of people checking for you. But if you have the resources to do it, go ahead and knock it out just so it's, just because it's just so your name is safe and it's something that you don't need to worry about. You can start, creating your website, lock in the URL and things like that. So.
Yeah. So we did like a nuance search for it and are just starting getting into it. But we just want our opinion if we should start it now or if we should just wait off a bit. And
to be honest, bro, that for me personally, that's not like your biggest concern at the moment is going to be like, okay, how do we start getting traction? How do we start getting eyeballs? How do we start getting fans?
Yeah.
But I think that the copyright stuff, that's kind of low hanging fruit. That if you do have the resources, if you have, you know, a lawyer, or if you have, I guess you could just do it on LegalZoom or whatnot. Just go ahead and knock it out. But don't spend too much time thinking about that, because there's so much other stuff that you're going to have to figure out in order to start trying to build some momentum.
All right. Thank you, man.
And like Payne said, we want to get the terms right here. You can only trademark a name, not copyright it. But I think you're thinking about the same thing, but we want to get the terms right so that everybody, you know, is on the same page.
That's the thing, is we're trying to figure out all the legality behind the terms and everything in it. So
yeah, and when you want to talk to some, because there's different classifications too for trademarks, right? It's like for music, for clothing, like depending on how you plan to use the name, you know, it gets a little bit more complicated than what meets the eye, but it's not, you know, it's not rocket science.
Yeah. I just wanted to know, and thank you very much.
All good, man. Good luck.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, let me bring Payne back on. Let me see can I just report Payne. No, I don't want to report Payne. Go live. Here we go.
Yep.
Payne, what up, man? Did you want to comment on I think it was Quick's rap, if I believe that was his name. You want
trademarking the name? I mean, the thing with trademarking the name is there's this kind of common law provision of trademark law, at least in the U.S., where if you have a name for a certain amount of time and it's established, and nobody quote me on this because trademark law is a very specific area of law, and I don't have a law degree in any specialty, so don't quote me on this. But from what I understand, if you have your name and you've been running with it within a certain industry for a certain amount of time, I think it's something like 5 years, then you're kind of protected, kind of like a common law marriage in that regard. But I also know that it's expensive and that you can really only trademark a name in a certain area within a certain industry. So from what I understand, somebody can come out with DJ Payne 1 ice cream, and in my city, and call themselves, hey, this is DJ Payne, welcome to DJ Payne 1, what size sundae would you like? And I can't do anything because I'm DJ Payne 1, the music professional.
Right.
And the dairy industry is totally different. So I think a lot of people overestimate the power of a trademark. But it's you know, you're going to end. I knew an artist who was emerging. He ended up one day just taking it on himself to spend, I think it was like $500-600 to get his name trademarked. And his manager was pissed because he was on a tour and he was self-funding, and he's nitpicking about all the expenses on the tour, and he wanted to hire me for some of the dates, and you know, you needed to obviously run ads in certain regions that targeted potential fans to come out to your event. So it's okay. So it's kind of like, damn, man, is the trademark for $600 really the priority here, when for that much money that could be your entire marketing budget for your tour, at least for targeted Facebook ads, and then some. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think my personal opinion is like, artists get caught up in that stuff, and that's not even really, like, you should be worried about like getting traction, getting fans. I mean, I think even worst case scenario, if somebody had your name and there was a dispute, you needed to change your name, and you had like 100,000 followers, like, you could probably change your name and not take a hit at all. But I don't necessarily think you should be worried about that, unless you just have the bread to do it. Put a lawyer on it, let them knock it out, and you know, keep it moving. All right, cool. Payne, you got any topics you want to talk about, or should I take more questions?
What were you yelling at me about on Twitter? We can talk about that.
You made a post. You made a post about producers already owning half of a song, so why give away something that they already own for less?
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, cause what happened was some
I
artists.
wasn't yelling. See, you don't put extras. I didn't. They wasn't yelling at anybody. But I think you know the post I'm talking about, so you can clarify.
Yeah, yeah. No, I said. Well, here's the inspiration. I saw a YouTube comment from a recording artist who said, "I'm fair because I can't afford to pay for beats, so I just take beats off YouTube, but I give the producers credit and 40% ownership of the song." And I'm like, how the hell is that fair? You're giving someone 40% of something that they own 50% of? That's not fair, and you're not paying them. So my tweet was, a lot of recording artists will offer producers a percentage of a song that they produce instead of paying them, a license fee. But the problem with that is producers already have ownership of their beat. They technically, by law, have 100% ownership. And I know why you're saying it's causing confusion, and it is, because there are two different types of ownership, but they both apply to what I said. But also people confuse ownership with profits from. And when we're talking about profits from, which royalty stream are we talking about? We could be talking about any number of, one of like 15 main royalty streams, right?
Right. My concern when you read that tweet and you're alluding to it is, oh, I own 50% of a song. That's right. Like the beat is 50% of a song, so I should get 50% of the profits from the song. And
right. And that's not true. Just to be clear, you're right then.
And the logic is just faulty logic. I mean, I get why some producers are like, well, the beat is half the song, so I deserve 50% of whatever this song grosses. Like, I understand the simple logic, but it's not that simple.
Yeah, it's definitely not. I mean, the average producer who's selling beats on the internet, and the ones that are doing well, the ones that are making $50,000 to $100,000 a year, they're not getting money off of iTunes sale. They're getting their upfront licensing fee, and that's pretty much it. If the artist comes back to renew the license because their number of downloads or sales has exceeded what they agreed on, then that's a second license fee. But no one's accounting for this stuff. We're not even asking for it. The industry standard when it comes to direct sales that producers get, and I'm not saying this is a good number, but it's 3%, which we call royalty points, 3 royalty points, and it's 3% of a MSRP, and there's this whole formula. And in addition to that, that 3% is only paid out once the song generates enough money to cover the initial license fee of that beat. So there's a lot to take into account. Now, when we're talking about royalty streams that don't come out of the artist's pocket or the label's pocket, like performance royalties, which is what you get when ASCAP and BMI and CSEC pay you, because those don't come out of the artist's pocket or the label's pocket, that's still yours. So that 50% ownership, that's you get all of that from that particular royalty stream if it's your original beat. If you sample, then that complicates things, or if you collab with someone, then you got to split that however you negotiate. But I guess my point is, everybody, whether you're a rapper, singer, songwriter, producer, just understand what ownership means and how you can exploit your ownership of your own creations. Because if you go to the negotiations table and you don't understand what power you have and what power the other person has and where you can meet in the middle, it's just going to turn out to be a negative situation. Someone's going to get taken advantage of, or you're going to fight based on bad information.
No. Yeah, I mean, producers are in an interesting situation. You should definitely know kind of what your rights are. If you create a beat, you own the masters to that beat. And until there is a contract in place where you transfer master ownership in return for an advance, a commitment to some type of producer royalty or whatever the contract stipulates, you maintain ownership of your beat. And if you ever and whatever agreement that you agreed, you should always have 50% of the publishing of that song as well. I mean, I guess there are times where there's an exception, but generally speaking, you own 50% of the publishing if you produce a song. That's kind of standard. All right, Payne, should I take some more questions?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm ready to get kicked off again.
All right, just, if you have any questions, feel free to, I guess, not raise your hand, but request to go live. I don't see any requests at the moment, but if you have a question, let me see. Let me go through the chat real quick and see if there's some people I can address really quick. I saw something about books. You guys are looking for books. Obviously, Donald Passman is the most popular book, but we had a guest on recently. His name is Ari Herstand, and I believe his book is Making It in the New Music Business. It's on Amazon, and that's gotten a lot of great reviews. So his name is Ari Herstand, ARIHERSTAND. If somebody can type that, that would be awesome. But I think it's called How to Make It in the New Music Business. And I heard that's a great book as well. So hold on, Henry. I got you, bro. We're going live with Henry in a second. One second. It's connecting. Henry, what up, man? I can't hear you. There we go. I can hear you now.
Yeah, that's better.
What up, what up?
Hey, what's up, guys? On the topic of royalties and splits, I'm an engineer producer, and I recently decided to put out some music of my own just because I'm not an artist. Doesn't mean I make a ton of music, so why not put some of it out?
Okay.
But I'm a little confused on how I'm going to do the splits with everybody because a lot of my artists that their songs, they still want to put their songs out themselves.
Right.
So I guess I'm trying to figure out.
This is like DJ Khaled style. You produced everything, and then you got artists to rap to the beats, and now you're gonna put it out.
Right. I'm mixing, mastering, pretty much production, everything. They want to put their songs out, but I want to know how to do the splits fairly. I think I know how to do the songwriting, but I'm not sure if they deserve publishing or not. I just want to be fair to everybody. I don't know if there's a standard or really how to address that.
Yeah, no, they should definitely. I mean, typically you split the publishing between the producer and the writers or the rappers 50-50. Right, like you get 50% of the publishing, and this is what typically happens, right? Like if you got Jay-Z on the song, he might come in and say, "Hey, I get 100% of the publishing. You don't get it,
right.
Just because it's Jay-Z." So there's variables, because at the end of the day, the splits are whatever you guys negotiate.
Okay.
But typically, all things being equal, 50-50 for the lyrics and the beat.
Songwriting and publishing.
Well, how are you distinguishing songwriting and what? I think there's some confusion there when you say songwriting and publishing, right?
In songwriting, how we've always done it, beat makers would split 50%. If there's two people that make the beat, they split 50%. If there's two lyricists on the song, they'd split 50%. So is the publishing going to be similar to that?
Because the songwriting is the publishing, right?
Maybe it is. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So in terms of if you're splitting the publishing, and a songwriter, I guess you're a songwriter as a producer. So like the producers and the lyrics, whoever contributed to the song, it just has to equal 100%, right? So in your situation, I would give the artist 50% and divvy that up. And that can be divvied up differently depending on artist contribution to a particular song, right? Like if two artists did exact same work on the song, 25-25. If somebody did the hook, maybe the hook is worth 15, and then the verses get divided by how many verses there are for that last 35%.
Okay.
So I just want to because the way you said it made me seem like there's a little confusion there. But is there another question? Is something confusing you now from what I said?
It looks like Payne wants to chime in. It also just relates to how we can both put out the songs, and would they do the same splits? I don't know how that works exactly.
So on the publishing side, now you need to talk about like how you're going to split the sales that come in, right?
Right, because if I'm putting the project out, I'm not sure what they're entitled to.
Right. So again, they're entitled to whatever you guys negotiate. And for me, from my perspective, like it would be, you know, the things that would come into play, like how big those artists are. Are you kind of both on the same level relatively as a producer and an artist in terms of presence and brand and things like that?
Yeah, relatively.
Are you funding everything? Are you advertising it? Are you putting together videos? Are you?
I did some mix and masters for free, which is
it's your project, so
I would normally charge. Yeah, exactly.
But it's your okay. So yeah, it really just depends on, whatever. Sometimes cats just do verse swaps. Like, I know a lot of producers that have gotten verses because of the relationship they built with certain artists, because they've been working with them for a while and they've been supplying them with beats for years, and they didn't take as much on the sales side of things because it's kind of like a return favor. But at the end of the day, it's whatever you guys negotiate, whatever you guys are comfortable with.
Okay.
So
I saw Dame asked to be patched in. I don't know if that's possible. I'd be interested to see what he has to say.
Well, I'm Dame, but I think Payne. I'll get Payne in.
Sorry.
There you go. I got you, bro. Hold on 1 second. I'll bring Payne back. Payne is over there. Hold on. Shit.
We look really similar because we're like vaguely ethnic dudes. No, I just want to clear up because I think his question was, so when you register a title, everything with BMI, everything has to add up to 200%. With ASCAP, everything has to add up to 100%. It's stupid that they scale things differently, but it's the exact same percentages. It's just the scale. You just have to do it proportionally. But for every writer, there has to be an equal publisher share. So I think that's what his question was. So if Dame raps, right, and Dame writes half the song, and I produce and I create the composition for half the song, there are 4 pieces of that pie. There aren't 2. 50% of that is in Dame's corner, but that means that 25% goes to Dame Ritter, the writer. The other half goes to his publishing entity. Everybody who signs up is getting their writer's share and their publisher's share. So that's the question. It has to be equal. You can't be that me as a publisher, I'm getting 40%, but me as a writer is getting 60%. They won't allow you to register like that, and they say so right in the registration page. So, for example, if we have a feature on the hook and we only want to give her 15%, then her as a publishing entity gets 7.5%, her as a writer gets 7.5%, but she's still getting 15% of her performance royalties. When those checks are paid out, she's just getting 2 separate checks. So, yeah, to clear that up, that's what that is. But everything else that Dame is saying, it's all negotiable. Obviously, just be as fair as possible, given the situations. That's where the gray area comes in with the music business.
That 200% model with performance royalties really confuses a lot of people, and it's kind of unnecessary, but it's just the way it is. When I'm typically talking about publishing, I'm thinking about 100% pie. So if an art, like Payne said, if a producer gets 50%, when you register it in ASCAP or BMI, you just register a percentage to publishing, to a publisher and as a writer. But I believe in performance royalties is the only situation where they have that 200% model.
Well, there's a difference between the different agencies, right? Yeah, and it's just annoying, man. And in my interview with the CEO of TrackLib, he was talking about how stuff like that, just those subtle little differences confuses so many people, and those little points of confusion really become impediments for people to enter the music business. When it comes down to it, the music business isn't that complicated. It's just the way that all of this stuff is framed and perceived.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? So there's nothing complicated about me splitting 100% of something with somebody else. That's easy. We do that all the time. We do that when we share a pizza. You know what I mean? It's the same concept. But the fact that some people are affiliated with BMI and some people are affiliated with ASCAP and they both scale things differently, that might mess somebody's entire situation up just because they don't understand, and now they're leaving money on the table because they registered a title incorrectly because of some confusion with scaling. Right. So that's where we can come in and clear that stuff up because we've been through it. So click on the musicentrepreneurclub.com link, join for 2 weeks, ask as many questions as possible. Because trust me, if I had the opportunity to talk to people like you're talking to us right now, just to clear up these little minute points, I'd have saved myself so many years of spinning my wheels and not understanding the very basics. And if there's a situation where we don't feel, and it happens all the time, where we don't feel comfortable answering a question, especially if it's a legal question, something esoteric that has to do with one particular part of the music industry we may not have expertise in, then we just find an expert because we got networks, and that's what we do. We make calls, we bring people in, and you can ask them directly. It doesn't even go through us. You go direct to the source. They're an authority. These are their credentials, and you got it.
Dope. All right, Payne, appreciate it, man. I'll bring a couple more people on. All right, somebody asked in the chat, 2 weeks free for what? So again, these are our live free sessions that we host every Sunday night in the open format where you guys can ask anything you want. Our normal sessions are Monday and Tuesday, where we typically have a guest. For example, tomorrow I have music marketing expert Adam Ivy coming on, and obviously we're going to talk music marketing. And it's an opportunity for you to ask questions directly to these people. So the format is usually me asking them questions for 20 to 30 minutes, and then you guys get to ask questions as well, so you can build and connect with the people that we bring on. And we got a really dope lineup planned for 2019 as well. I know that just in January, I have a vice president from Warner that's going to join us. I have the founder of AudioMac that's going to join us. We really have a dope lineup. The people that we bring on are super dope. It's not people that don't know what they're talking about. Everybody is